There's a big risk when you're rebooting a classic nameplate. There's an even bigger risk when it's an iconic nameplate like the Toyota Supra. Double the risk maybe, or even triple, because on the one hand you've got the racers and the tuners and the people who loved the original Supra for its customization potential. And then you've got the people who grew up with it on their bedroom wall, who maybe grew familiar with the car from the Fast and the Furious movies. And then finally you've got today's car buying audience, the audience of people who have a huge amount of choice where it comes to affordable sports cars. Get it right, and you can have a massive hit on your hands. But if you haven't already guessed, the stakes are very high.
Toyota's deal with BMW to collaborate on a sports car produced both the 2020 Supra and the later Z4. It also generated a deep, sticky morass of confusion about just how much of Toyota's DNA is actually inside its new Halo car. The reality is that the Supra and the Z4 are based on a newly created platform, in collaboration between Toyota and BMW. Toyota didn't simply go parts shopping in BMW's existing range, and while the platform may be shared, these are still two very different cars with a different feel behind the wheel and a very different focus for drivers. Most fundamentally, if it hadn't been for that partnership, we wouldn't have got a new Supra at all. Toyota's FT1 concept was controversial back in 2014, and 5 years on the Supra's styling is no less divisive. Design is subjective, of course. Personally, I'm down with the rear three-quarters, but still getting used to that nose. You can't accuse Toyota of aiming low. The shared goal with BMW was to beat Porsche's Cayman and Boxster, and certainly the new Supra undercuts its coupe rival. Kicking off at just shy of $51,000, including destination, the Supra 3.0 isn't only better equipped and more than $7,000 cheaper than the 718 Cayman, but has 35 horsepower and 85 pound-foot of torque more. The Porsche may be a few £100 lighter, but it's still 0.8 seconds slower to 60. Balance is the name of the game here, matching performance to the chassis setup. The 3-litre turbo inline-6 gives you 335 horsepower and 365 pound-foot of torque, less than you'd get from the same core engine in the Z4, true, but Toyota insists that tuning, along with the decision to fit an 8-speed paddle-shifting automatic rather than a manual gearbox, was an intentional decision. It takes driving the car to see how much sense that argument actually makes. Ridiculously overpowered supercars are fun, but squeezing faster lap times out of a more moderately equipped sports car can be even more rewarding. You have to think more, particularly in the corners, where the Supra's eminently controllable inclination to kick its rear end out has you building confidence with each lap. Is it the fastest car? Probably not, and I suspect even with a power shortfall the lighter Cayman might show the Supra its heels. It's deeply entertaining though, and without demanding you get dangerously close to the limit. Switch to normal mode meanwhile, when you're reminded that Toyota makes sensible, practical cars like the Camry and Avalon. Ugly roads will still send some judder through to the cabin, but adaptive dampers all round do a capable job of smoothing out most bumps and potholes. Variable assist power steering helps too, losing almost all of the weight found in sport mode, while throttle mapping and transmission logic kick back and get far more relaxed. The Supra may not be a grand tourer by the strictest definition, but daily driver duties certainly aren't beyond it. A comfortable and practical cabin helps there too, even if it feels like it's been lifted straight out of a BMW. Toyota claims that the vast majority of Supra parts are unique, but you'd certainly not know that looking at the dashboard. The entertainment graphics may be of the Supra, but the display, the rows of media and HVAC buttons across the center console, and the iDrive controls all feel rather Bavarian. Ironically, it also makes the Supra's dashboard the most aesthetically pleasing and best feeling of all the cars in Toyota's range. Whether on the standard 6.5-inch display or the optional 8.8-inch touchscreen, the infotainment system is far preferable to Entune on the automaker's other cars. Wireless CarPlay is a welcome addition, with that all-important wireless phone charger to go with it, even if Toyota makes it an option, while the real carbon fibre trim looks and feels the part. The loudest question when Toyota pulled the sheets off the Supra late last year was why it had so many fake plastic vents. Happily, the automaker has a good answer. Off the production line, those vents may not be functional, but each is placed somewhere that Toyota's designers and engineers could envisage someone wanting more airflow. Around the brakes and wheels for cooling maybe, or flowing under and around the front wings for a boost in downforce. With most cars, adding that extra venting involves an angle grinder or replacing whole panels. The new Supra, though, was designed with that flexibility baked in from the start. Need more air for a bigger transmission cooler? The Supra not only has space for the necessary intakes and pipework, but Toyota left room for that bigger cooler too. The same goes for the differential, and for optionally increasing torsional stiffness. Lift the hood and there are both mounting points for new sway bars and cutouts where those bars would need to pass across other components. Start looking at the new Supra from the perspective of potential customization, and Toyota's decisions make a lot more sense. Using more traditional materials like steel rather than exotic alternatives such as carbon fibre help keep costs and complexity down. It also leaves the door open for the aftermarket carbon parts Toyota is confident will rapidly arrive. Overlap between the Supra and the BMW 3 Series, meanwhile, was also intentional. It means BMW M3 aftermarket parts should work, with minimal tweaking, on Toyota's car too.
What stands out about the Supra isn't the concept car looks, or the affordable price tag, or even the amount of parts bin sharing with BMW. It's the fact that this was so clearly a car made by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. A car that you can take away and choose to customise in any way that you really see fit, and they've made it for you that way from the factory. And that really encapsulates what people loved about the original Supra. But make no mistake, even if you just take this off the dealer forecourt and drive us away and make no changes whatsoever, you're getting a surprisingly good car. Welcome back, Supra. We missed you.